Welcome to Tiny Housinʼ, Volume 24. And it's been a pretty chill day today, for the most part. You can see I'm kind of in the middle of getting some things organized. Reason why you see all these things here: camping gear, batteries, a lot of this stuff was in these drawers here. And it was all packed away. When I knew things were going wrong at my ex's apartment, I started packing some stuff in case I had to make a dash. My best friend down here in Houston was planning on coming up to get me in a Toyota 4Runner and just pick me up and whatever we could fit in the truck and take off into the sunset. And things got a little more complicated with the probation officer in Jamestown. He was trying to make it so that he was trying to force me to stay up in the Northeast. I don't think, I tried to tell him how dire my situation was, but he wouldn't really listen to me. And then I ended up homeless. And when I ended up homeless, I think he was a little bit surprised. And I don't know what was said and what happened and who said what to who and what and where and how, but I don't think anybody got. I think there was some. I think something went down. I don't. I'm not saying that he got in trouble or anything, but there was definitely some. They weren't supposed to just let me end up becoming homeless. Is kind of what it seemed like. Somebody dropped the ball, and when I told the probation officer in Pittsburgh that I was offered a place to stay in Houston, she was surprised that the people in Buffalo never put in the paperwork for me to move, even though they told me that they did. And so it was like, I think they were, I don't know. But anyway, I packed a bunch of stuff in a few small, that little camping set of drawers, these 4 cloth drawers here. This whole thing packs up into a small little box that's about the size of what you see there with the 4 cloth drawers that slide out. The legs collapse up into the unit. That tabletop rolls up and goes into a little pouch, and it ends up being just a box, like a cloth-sided box that you can carry. Underneath, you can see folded over, there's a zippered cover. And so you can put a bunch of stuff in there. It's basically a box. So I had that. I had this antique desk. You can see that black bag up in the corner. That's a giant bag that fits this desk that my computer's on is a folding desk. That folding desk fits in that black bag, along with a folding chair and a whole bunch of other stuff that basically becomes a mobile office. So when I used to go on road trips or I'd go spend a week at someone's house, I worked remotely. So I could literally pack an office with me. I could bring a folding desk and everything I needed. This little printer here, this little Canon printer has a carrying case, and it's got a battery pack on the back, so it doesn't even need to be plugged into a wall. And I had a whole system. I had an entire mobile office in a bag. And so I had that bag packed. I had this antique desk, that big bag, this camp drawer set, and a couple of these bins, that blue bin that you see up there, my printer and my scanner up there, and I had some photography equipment, and I had it all figured out. I used a drawing tool to figure out how to pack. I measured out the space of a Toyota 4Runner with the seats folded down in the back, and I figured out what would fit and how it would fit. So I had already kind of virtually packed the truck before he came to get me, but then that never came to be. So when I moved here to Texas, I had that stuff in storage in Pittsburgh. And so I grabbed the stuff that I had already pre-packed to move to Houston with. And then I had a bunch more room in a minivan because it was a minivan instead of a 4Runner. And so I brought other stuff down with me. But I ended up needing room in the kitchen I was using only one of these 4 drawers for everything from cups, bowls, silverware, and everything else. And it was starting to get annoying. And today was the last day I was going to deal with it because I can't dig through one of these little drawers when I'm looking for a bowl or a plate or a knife or a fork, and I've got to rip the whole bag apart trying to dig around trying to find that one thing. So I emptied out the 4 bags there. So now there's a bag of bowls, there's a bag of plates, there's a bag of utensils, and a bag of cups and drinking glass, things, drinking mugs. And so all of this stuff here, this pile of camping equipment, this pile of batteries and battery holders and stuff, this is all just random crap that was gathered up from my house after the FBI drove a tank into it. And somebody went over to my house and gathered some of my things, put it in storage for me, but it wasn't a lot. It was just, they had one day to do it, and they just, it was random. It was pretty random, the stuff that they grabbed and the stuff that they left behind. 95% of everything I owned was left behind in that house, and it's gone, lost forever. The owners of the house, who knows what the fuck they did with it. Valuable stuff. I mean, I lost, if you add up all the money that I lost, if you want to add up all the property, 2 vehicles that were lost, all the property that was in my house, I had a video game collection with 5,000 video games and all kind. I mean, that was worth thousands of dollars. If you really want to add up, I have easily lost $500,000 so far, and maybe more from this incident. When you count lost wages for 2 years, when you count that I used to have a $150,000 job and now I can barely find a $10 an hour minimum wage job, when you factor in all the lost property, the lost vehicles, the lost, so many other things, the fines, I mean, if I were to sit and make a spreadsheet and try to figure it out, $250,000 would be an easy, I'm sure it would add up to that, and it would go beyond that. So 2 years in prison, $500,000, a ruined reputation. I'll never be able to get another job again doing anything but minimum wage shit unless, God intervenes. And countless other hassles. I'll have a felony conviction for the rest of my life, never be able to own a gun again, never, I'm basically ruined for the rest of my life over some mean tweets. And like I've said many times on these videos, I shared a jail cell with a guy who killed somebody, got 14 months in jail. I was in jail with one of the January 6th people that I got to know pretty well. I'm not going to say his name, but I'd give you enough that you can find him on your own. He pepper sprayed a cop in the face. The cop died the next day. They tried to charge him with murder. It didn't stick. But they got him to sign a confession so that he could go to the, Club Fed instead of being in the D.C. gulag in solitary. He spent 24 months in the D.C. gulag in solitary confinement, never allowed to see another human being for 24 months. So they torture you and they get you to sign a confession, and then they take you to the Club Fed prison camp where you get to play pickleball and shit like that. And that's how they get their 99% conviction rate. Well, anyway, this guy was in there. Like I said, he pepper sprayed a cop in the face. The cop died the next day. He got sentenced to 6 years. Donald Trump gave him a pardon. First day, he was out of prison the first day of Donald Trump's presidency. But see, my problem is I went and I'm the enemy of both parties because it doesn't matter. If I'm talking to a Democrat, they're going to be like, oh, you're a piece of shit Trump supporter. You deserve to be in prison for the rest of your life. And if I'm talking to a Republican, what do Republicans love? They love police, the thin blue line, the heroes in blue, all that shit. So they're going to be like, oh, you threatened the police. You deserve to be in prison for the rest of your life. So it doesn't matter. I was a political prisoner, but both of the political parties hate my guts for 2 different reasons. But I came up with a way to piss both of the political parties off equally enough that neither one of them are going to give me the time of day again. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. I got some other things to talk about today, and I'm just going to put these videos together and push out another one for you. What's going on? It's your boy Adam, back at you for another episode of Tiny Housinʼ, Volume 24. And it's pretty early in the morning. I just woke up, got my coffee. In fact, hold on, I gotta go get some more coffee because I'll be right back. All right, now everything's right in the world. So yeah, in the tiny house, I don't know. It's hard to see, but so in the morning, because of this unfinished ceiling with the spray foam. Oh, the last few days I wake up, it looks like a blizzard. It looks like it snowed every morning now. And I think it's a combination of two things. Yesterday it was raining really hard, and I think even just the vibration of the rain against the roof of this building was shaking, just causing enough vibration that some of that spray foam is flaking off and raining down on the place throughout the night and throughout the day. But I did notice, because mosquitoes are getting into the tiny house now. I live down south. Bugs are big, and these mosquitoes are no exception. These mosquitoes, I swear to God, these mosquitoes are this big. They're like birds. I don't see. I think I might have saw. Nah, I don't really see any right now. But I mean, it's like dragons circling around in here when they're up there flying around. It's like, whoo, whoo, whoo. Like, they're like as big as dragonflies, these freaking mosquitoes, when they're flying around in here. And they're sneaking in through the door. It's the only way they could get in. So even though the front door porch area has a screen around it, that helps a little bit. But every time I open the door to go out and do something and come back in, there's a couple of, one or two will get in here. There were like 4 in here yesterday. And I noticed that as they fly around and they're banging up against the ceiling and bumping into the ceiling, these things are big enough that they're causing the spray foam to come loose and just flake down in little pieces. And so it's just covering everything with the spray foam. And like I said yesterday, though, if I can fix the ceiling, if I can get the ceiling fixed, if I can get the shower fixed, which that should be happening, the shower should be soon. If it doesn't happen this weekend, we'll have to talk about it. But it's supposed to be happening. I got the little fridge. I'm gonna just, like I said yesterday, if I get the shower fixed, I get the ceiling did. They're supposed to be putting in a big ceiling fan that would actually look kind of cool. Even just getting paneling put up to cover the spray foam, even if it doesn't get painted, would be fine with me, because the paint fumes would drive me nuts. I would have to leave the door open and windows open for probably a week before that paint fume smell goes away. And so, I don't want to have to sit here having a headache. I don't want to have to, I don't know, it just seems like a big inconvenience. But right now I would be cool with them coming in and covering up this ceiling. Why you wouldn't do that when you hung the paneling in the first place and just finished the job, I don't understand. But there's a lot of things in this world that I don't understand, and I'm just going to have to live with, so whatever. I guarantee you, I absolutely guarantee you that any other place that I was looking at, be it online only or in person, would have had problems 100 times worse than anything I'm dealing with here at this tiny house. Guaranteed. In fact, from my research right now, if you want to live in Houston without having to live in squalor, I think about the minimum price of entry is about $1,100 a month, and you're going to have to pay all the utilities. So your living expenses are probably going to be somewhere around $1,500 a month, and that really just depends on how much the electric company gouges you for air conditioning. I do see a mosquito. Oh my God, the thing's like 6 inches long. So anyway, these mosquitoes are banging up against the foam ceiling here, and they're knocking little pieces down as they do it. And over the course of a night when I'm sleeping, I can't get these things. I'm going to have to go get I might have to trade in the vacuum cleaner that I got, take it back to Target, and get a different portable vacuum cleaner that has a long wand. That way I can just suck up the bugs. If bugs get in here, I can just be like, zoop, gotcha. That's the best way to deal with bug issues like that, especially flying insects. It's better than wandering around with a fly swatter. I mean, if I try to use a fly swatter and I have to smack that ceiling, I'm just going to be knocking down spray foam and getting it all over the place. So, I don't know. Until they fix that, I'm just going to have to do whatever I can at this point. It's not worth losing my mind over because, like I said yesterday, fix the shower, fix the ceiling. I'll have a list of 10 new things to be pissed off about. So, whatever, dude. There's always gonna be something. And like I said, unless you have, I think the barrier to entry, the minimum price that you have to pay in order to not live in squalor anymore and to not live in fear of your life in terms of, I guess, any place in Houston that's called a ward, like the 5th ward, the 3rd ward. If you have a neighborhood that has the word ward attached to it, you basically have to run away. Like, you're going to die if you move in there. So you don't want to live in a ward. You can't live in the ward. And you don't want to, I don't even really want to live in the city. All I'm saying is that from what I can see, from the research that I've done since September, the cost to no longer have to live in squalor is about $1,100 a month plus all utilities, and that's the lowest price. That's the lowest price that I would be able to pay every month and have a place where my son could come and stay with me for however long he wants to come and stay. Be it a month, be it a summer, be it, whatever. But anything less than that, no, you're not going to find a place that you're just trading one set of problems for another. Believe me, I looked at the other place that I physically looked at was an 80-foot long double wide trailer with 2 bathrooms and lots of rooms. I was like, wow, this place is big. And that would have been it was the same price per month as this tiny house, but it would have been 100 times worse living there than this place in ways that I can't even describe right now. Hold on a second, I gotta do something real quick. Had to adjust the temperature of the tiny place. So temperature control is pretty fast in a tiny house. That's one nice thing about it. If it's too warm, you can turn on the AC, boom. It's got a little window air conditioner unit. It's really quiet. It's a quiet one, so you turn it on and you can barely hear it, but it cools this place off like that. If there's there's a lot of power outages in this neighborhood from what I've seen already. I would say at least 5 times the power has gone out, and I've only been here a little more than a month. So that's a shitty thing about this neighborhood. I don't think it ever happened in the cul-de-sac where my friend lives. But here, I'm going to say the power's gone out at least 5 times since I've been here. And if the power goes out, even if it's for a minute or less, this window air conditioner unit will stop running. So if I'm at the bakery and I'm gone and the power goes out, even for a split second, I'll come back to a 90-degree tiny house because the window unit stopped cooling the thing off. Or vice versa, if it's cold, it's going to be freezing in here. But at least it takes very little time to heat the thing back up or to cool it back. Anyway, the AC was running throughout the night, and then it stopped at some point. It must have been cold outside last night because I woke up, it was less than 60 degrees in here. And I'm looking at another bird, or I guess you call them mosquitoes, flying around up, probably going to knock some more spray foam down on the floor. So I see 2 of them right now, and I can't get them. Like, there's nothing I get. So yeah, I'm going to have to, this sucks, but I'm probably going to have to order a different vacuum cleaner, a canister vac with a long wand, and take this thing that I bought at Target back to Target. Target's going to get sick of me making returns, but if they didn't sell garbage all day long, like, they wouldn't get as many returns. But anyway, this vacuum, I'm going to have to get something that I can deal with the mosquitoes that come in here. And I'm not going to have 2 different vacuum cleaners in a place like this. I'm just going to get one that works for everything. That's the only way that I'm going to be able to deal with these. If you use a fly swatter, I'm either going to be smacking the spray foam and knocking it down, or I'm going to have these giant dead mosquito imprints on all the walls and surfaces in here over time. These things are like 6 inches wide. I swear to God, they're like birds. And so they're going to be dead insect bodies and blood and everything else you can imagine all over the place as these things, they're only coming in like 1 at a time. But, maybe 2 if I open up the door and they come flying in, especially at night. If I have the light on inside and I open the door to go outside, they're going to be like, "Oh, light, go!" And they're just going to come right in. There's clouds of these things out there right now. So they just showed up in the last couple of weeks. So that's, whatever, just another day, another problem. That's all it is. So I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna clean up a little bit. Yesterday, I pretty much spent the whole day doing all of the personal crap, like cleaning, laundry, reconciling accounts, catching up on things, just all the things that I only have 1 day a week to do. And so today, once I get done with this video, once I wake up a little bit, I'm shaving. Logic would dictate, before you sit down and do a video and present yourself to the entire world, you should probably shave and clean yourself up. I don't follow the normal people rules, so I'm going to do a video, present myself to the world, then I'm going to get up and start moving around. I'm going to go take a shower, shave, and make myself look presentable for nobody to see me. But it'll feel better, and I'll get more done when I feel better. So whatever, I'm just going to do what I want. And, but I got a couple of, how do I put this? I got a couple of, I got 2 good comments. I don't know who made them. I don't know the usernames. Like, I know they're people that I see on here all the time in the comment section. And more than one person makes these comments, so I'm just going to kind of lump them in all in one shot here. But there's 2 different comments that I'm going to talk about that I get a lot on this channel. Let's see, how do I want to start? Start with the first one. Somebody made a comment, I think it was this morning, but it's not the first. I can think right now. I'm thinking I've seen this comment from different people at least 5 or 6 times in the last couple of weeks. Why do you keep swearing so much? Basically, if you believe in God and you love Jesus, you shouldn't swear all the time. And I'm not going to, I used to believe that God cares more about what's in your heart than what comes out of your mouth. And that was just my personal belief, okay? I used to think that, I didn't think God would treat it any, like if somebody, if some religious church lady was on YouTube and she got mad about something and she goes, "Oh, fiddlesticks," and gets all upset about it instead of saying the F bomb. Like, Jesus knows what you really meant. And is it really any different in your heart when you're saying, "motherfuck," or you're going, "Oh, fiddlesticks, oh, fiddlesticks"? You're. It's the same emotion that you're projecting. It's just a different choice of words, but you're projecting the same exact emotion. You just chose different words to express it. So I'm like, does God really care? But then I looked in the Bible while I was in prison, and I'll tell you why I got into this a little bit. And I'm just going off the cuff. I don't got no notes in front of me right now, so I have to revisit this someday. But there are verses in the Bible in more than one place that talk specifically about you shouldn't use crass language. You shouldn't. A lot of it has to do with cursing out other people, and which I do from time to time. Especially when I'm talking about the drivers that I deal with on these bicycle rides. That really gets me riled up. And these pedophiles that run the government, and I can definitely pick out different groups of people that get me like going down that path really fast. And plus I'm a guy I've been swearing and saying the F bomb since I was like 9 years old. I don't know how, the 5th grade is when I feel like it started to come out to the point where my parents just gave up on it. Like, my mom's not, I've already drank 3 bottles of Dawn dish detergent and that didn't stop it. So she's like, what can I, my mom is like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do anything about it. He's just going to have to figure it out on his own. And so, like, my mom washed my mouth out with soap, and Dawn dish detergent gets expensive after you've made your son drink 3 bottles of it over the course of a month. So we weren't rich growing up, and like, I guess she could have went and got Ajax instead, 75 cents a bottle, but even so, that was just an expensive grocery trip. She gave up on it. So I've been swearing and talking like this since I was a little kid. It's not her fault. But a lot of people who you think have clean language, get them in a one-on-one in a private setting, and if they're comfortable around you, you're going to find out who that person really is really fast. Different people have different personas in different situations. I go to the bakery, I don't really swear. Everybody that I work with at the bakery, once in a while something comes out. Every single person there. But none of us are comfortable just letting it out. It's not like customers are walking in the door and I'm like, "Hey, what the fuck's going on, homie? You want some cookies up in this bitch?" No. It's not how it works, okay? So in the professional setting, I'm going to be more professional, and it's just naturally like that. But I guess when I'm on YouTube, I feel like I'm talking to my friends and I'm just chilling with my homies. And the fact that, nobody's really watching these videos. I got like 300 views on a video. So, as far as I'm concerned, you're all my friends. And so I'm a little bit more comfortable around you all. And so that's a factor. But I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about this for a minute. The swearing. The Bible does say you shouldn't talk like that. I mean, I'm trying to pull a verse out of my memory bank, but it's too early in the morning for that. And in fact, I gotta, hold on a second. I'm just not pulling it out. Maybe I could have done my homework before sitting down to do this video, but I got other things to do today. So I'm gonna talk about, does it really make you a bad person when you swear a lot? And so I'm going to talk about, when I was in prison, I met a lot of different preachers, pastors, Bible study leaders, deacons, priests, whatever. All these different people came into all these different jails and prisons. That's a big thing in the Christian community, the jailhouse evangelism, right? Because Jesus says, it's not the healthy people don't need a doctor, it's the sick people who need a doctor. So it's just something that they do. So there's lots of opportunities to get right with God when you're in that situation. And I'm going to talk about the Butler County Jail in Pennsylvania, where Donald Trump got shot. A lot of other weird stuff goes on there. It's where I spent 14 months without seeing the sun. But a lot of different Bible study leaders would come in every week. And I'm not Catholic, but all the Catholic people that came in from the Catholic Church, in my opinion, they were the best ones in terms of, they come in and, they did a lot of weird Catholic stuff that I'm not into. And, but it was still good Bible study. It was still a good, I still went. And they really got to know you on a one-on-one level. Every single one of them knew my name. They knew my story. They knew what was going on. They openly talked about, what they saw in the news about it. They talked about, they were there to and they got to know everybody and they cared about everybody. And you really knew that they actually cared about all of us. Now, there was another guy who had come in. He was the lead pastor or whatever at some church. And this guy came in every week. And even after coming in every single week for 6 months, and there's only 5 or 6 people in the room, and it's the same 5 or 6 people every single week for 6 months straight, this guy didn't know anybody's name. Didn't know a single person's name. Even after 6 months, he could care less. He was there to give you a Bible lesson that he had prepared in advance, and he's coming in there, and he don't give a shit about any of us. He's there to preach the word of God, answer some questions about the Bible, but we're just trash. You can tell he just thinks we're a bunch of trash. And he's got a different agenda for coming in here. He doesn't care about the people in there. He's doing it because he thinks that it's something he has to do. But I guarantee you, now there were 2 preachers like that I'm talking about right now that would come in. And then there was another couple of preachers that would come in and get into religious arguments with everybody and start religious fights, and they actually got kicked out of the jail because so many people didn't like them. I didn't care myself. Whatever. It's all, I look at it like everybody's different, and maybe there's a place for I think that's the point I'm about to make at the end of all this dancing around, but there's a place for everybody. I got stuff out of the guy who didn't give a shit about us and who thought we were all just a bunch of trash, but he's coming in and reading the Bible to us and answering questions and giving a sermon and all that stuff. But even after 6 months of being in a room of 5 people, he doesn't know anybody's name, even though he's asked us our names 100 times, and he still doesn't know anybody's name in the room. And if he asks you your name and you say it, and you've told him 50 other times, he'll act as if he that's the first time you ever told him your name. And so I got stuff out of that Bible study, so it wasn't like I didn't even dislike the guy, to be honest. I liked him. I liked when he was there. I'm like, he had something. He had some good knowledge. He would always give a good sermon. He would always teach me something. He'd always give me something to think about. So I didn't dislike the guy, but I can tell you for a fact, if I ever saw if I ever saw the Catholics that came into that jail out on the streets of Butler, they would see me and come walking up to me and be like, "Oh my God, Adam, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. When did you get out? What's going on? What happened? Tell me about what's going on. Are you getting back on your feet? Do you need help? Blah, 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 blah." If the other pastor were to see you walking down the street, he'd cross the street and go to the other side and pretend he didn't even see you and look the opposite direction and try to avoid making eye contact with you because he don't want to be associated with that jailhouse trash. I'm just saying, that's exactly what would happen. I had a kind of an experience like that at the homeless shelter. There were two different women that would come in and serve food to everybody there on a somewhat regular basis. And I'm not going to say any more, but I was at Crazy Tim Hortons one day where all the homeless people hang out in Jamestown. And I was sitting there with my MacBook looking like I'm not homeless. And I'm just sitting there working away on whatever. Well, one of the women came in who serves meals in the kitchen there. And she was with a group of her church friends or whatever. I don't know, a group of other ladies. And they sit down at a table and I look over and I say hi. And she kind of just like turns her head and like doesn't even want to look at me. Doesn't even want to make eye contact. It was just like, you must think I'm somebody else. You know, like she had that attitude. She did not want the other ladies, the church ladies at the table she was sitting at, to know that she associates with those people. And the only reason she even knew that I was one of those people was because she served me food at the homeless shelter. If it wasn't for that, she wouldn't have even known I was fucking homeless because I didn't look the part. And so that's one person. She's still doing good by, she's still going into the homeless shelter and she's serving food and, helping people. But then the other old lady who does that, she saw me sitting in Crazy Tim Hortons more than once. And every time she ever saw me sitting in there and she was coming in to get a coffee or whatever, she would make a beeline and come right over to my seat and sit there for a minute. "How you doing? Oh my God. Are you getting, are things working out? You getting things figured out?" And like she would have a conversation with me and want to know what's going on. I don't even think she knew my name, but she recognized me because she served food to me a bunch of times. And she would always come over and go out of her way, even if she was with a group of people, to come over and be very personal. Even if I didn't want to talk to anybody because I was in my zone and didn't want to be social, she would come over and make me be social. And of course, I'm not going to be like, "Go away, lady." I'm not like that. So all I'm saying, these are the two different, they're both trying to do good things. But one group of pastors, they're going to come, if I'm walking down the street and they're on the other side of the street, they're going to come running over and be like, "Hey, how you doing? Is everything working out? We care about you." The other pastor who came in every day for, every week for 6 months and still didn't know my name, he's going to be walking down the street, see me and go, "Oh crap." And he's going to go across the street to the other side and pretend he didn't see me. If I showed up in his church for Sunday service out of the blue, he's probably going to pull me aside after church and say some shit like, "I just don't think this is the place for you. I don't think, I don't think this is the place for your kind. There's another church down the road you might want to check out." That's what's going to happen. And so, I'm setting kind of like the precedent here. I'm getting back to are you a bad person because you talk shit and swear? I was in Danbury Federal Prison, the same place they sent Steve Bannon and a lot of the January 6th people got sent there. I met a lot of them. There's a guy who got pardoned who pepper sprayed a cop in the face, got sentenced to 6 years. The cop died the next day. They tried to charge him with murder, but it didn't stick. But he still got 6 years in prison for that. Donald Trump pardoned him. But the guy who put mean tweets on social media, I'm not getting a pardon. I'm not getting any kind of help in that regard. That's a pipe dream. Donald Trump don't give a fuck about someone like me, because that's not going to help him get votes. So anyway, where was I at? So anyway, I'm in Danbury, and there's 2 chaplains in Danbury Federal Prison. One is the head chaplain, another one is like his assistant, but they're both equal in terms of the amount of exposure that you have to them when you're, into that. And I spent a lot of time going to Bible studies and studying the Bible and going to the church services and all that kind of stuff, because in Danbury Federal Prison, there's more to do than like the other prisons. So my day would basically either be going to church, going to Bible study, watching movies in the chapel, playing pickleball, indoor soccer, working out, doing sports, going to the pool hall, playing pool, watching TV with some people. There were other things to do that I didn't get into, like arts and crafts and things like that, classes, different things like that. I did do spinning classes to try and, promote getting in shape, and I would go outside and walk around the track and do stuff. So there was a variety of things to do, but the church stuff took up a lot of time, because the only way to get through that, in my opinion, is to just do as much as, keep yourself as busy as you can. And if they're offering all kinds of stuff to do, try to mix it up and try to do as much as you can, because the people that sit around all day doing absolutely nothing are the ones that go crazy in that place. And I'm just getting too far off track. So there were 2 chaplains. The head chaplain, I liked them both. Number one, I have to say I liked them both. I think both of them had a place there. Both of them had a purpose for being there. But these are very different people. The head chaplain was very fiery, very knowledgeable, very outgoing. But he's the guy who's doing the fiery sermon on Sunday service and, the Thursday night worship service and whatnot. And he's, he's knowledgeable about the Bible, etc., and all this, that, and the other thing. But he's not coming to Bible studies. He's not getting to know prisoners one-on-one. He doesn't know anybody's name. He's there to give a sermon. He's there to if you wanted to go talk to him one-on-one and get to know him, his door was open. So he's not telling you to go away or anything like that. He's not shooing you away. If you see him in the hall, he'll say hi to you. He's a very nice guy. But he gave a few sermons about we need to clean up our language. And he started quoting the same Bible verses that I would find about swearing and cussing and cleaning up your language and all that stuff. And he would give sermons about cleaning up our language, and he wasn't being derogatory toward us or saying that you're going to go to hell if you keep talking the way you do and all this stuff. He's just like, Jesus would really like it if, we set a good example by being better people. And he's like, I know that you're in an environment where you're surrounded by the crassest language that you've ever heard in your life. Everybody from the inmates to the warden down to the prison guards, they all have. I'm telling you, you think I have foul language while I'm doing these YouTube videos? Go to prison for 4 months. You'll find out that I have the cleanest language in the room. And that goes from the warden all the way down to the guards, to the support staff, to the inmates, all of it. Everybody who talks to you in prison is talking a lot more crass than anything you're going to hear coming out of my mouth on these videos. And you've heard some stuff coming out of my mouth on these videos. So use your imagination and think about, let that settle in for a minute. I am not even close to the level of foul language that you'll hear in that place. So, with that said, but you wouldn't hear it come out of this pastor. He is very clean cut, guy, very, he was just, I liked him. I didn't dislike him at all. No, really, but he wasn't personable. He didn't really he wasn't out there trying to get to know anybody. He was there he was doing his job. He's on his mission from God or whatever, but he was like the other pastor at the other jail. I don't think that this guy would walk away if he saw you out in the street after you were released. I think he would he might recognize your face and be like, "Hey, I remember you." He wouldn't just run away. I don't think he's that kind. I don't think he's at that level. But he definitely didn't really take the time to get to know people and really that. And he, like I said, he gave a few sermons about let's try to clean up our language and set a better example for those around us and that kind of thing. And he wasn't belittling us or talking down to us. It was more like a encouraging thing, hey, we can all do better. And he talked about how he really never had that problem his whole life, but he understands that some people do. And he's like, let's ask God to help us with that problem. And at this point in time, I knew it was a problem. I knew by now I've got enough proof from the Word of God that he really doesn't want me to be like that. And even when I get like that and I'm doing that crap on these videos, even this video, when I do it, I'm conscious of it. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you'll tone it down. But you're talking to a guy who every other word that comes out of his mouth's been the F-bomb since he was in the 5th grade. So, I mean, are you really that's not something you can cure overnight. And my entire career, I've been surrounded by people who talk like this. If you ever work in an advertising agency, it's nothing but this. When you work in the places I've worked, you think, factory jobs, or you think restaurants, or you think different things about where people would have foul language at work. Well, it's really bad in some of in the creative businesses. It's just the real world is a different place than what your imagination might want to believe if you're a sheltered person. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, the second pastor at Danbury, she was like the exact opposite of him. She almost never gave sermons. She actually told us that she was uncomfortable speaking in front of large groups of people, but that she had to do it. So she would do it. And I did see her give a couple of sermons. But she was more she led all the Bible studies. And she was always hanging out with small groups of people and doing small leadership and interactive Bible studies where everybody in the room is talking and it's not just her. And in fact, she would make other people lead the Bible studies. So each week somebody else would have to take a turn. I had to do it at least twice, where I would have to come in prepared with stuff and lead a whole group discussion for an hour and a half. And so she would get up in front of us and talk about how she's like, if you think you have foul language and you have a problem with foul language, you don't know nothing. Because when I'm not here, she says, for whatever reason, when she's at the prison, she can keep it under control. It's kind of like the same thing for me. I can be in a professional environment surrounded by people who talk worse than I talk on these videos, and it just won't come out. I keep it professional. And maybe if I get super comfortable around a few people, I might let the real me come out. But when I'm in a work environment, when I'm in that professional environment, even if everybody around me is batshit crazy with their foul language, I'm pretty tame. But you put me in a room with my friends, that's a whole nother story. And that's how she was talking about it. She's like, when I'm here, I'm not too bad, but when I'm home, she's like, I'll make anybody in this place seem like a saint compared to the way I talk. I talk like I'm the captain of a pirate ship sailing the high seas and looking for booty and treasure and raping and pillaging and plunder every village I come across. Like, that's how she put it. And she says she's been struggling with it her whole life. She knows that she shouldn't talk like that, but she it's something that she struggles with, and she prays about it all the time, and she just hasn't been able to figure out how to make it stop. And it's just a part of who she is. And she talks about this a lot with us. But on the flip side, she gets to know everybody there. Like, she knew me by name. She knows everybody. She knows so many people there, and people are coming and going. You've got people who might only be there for a couple months. You got people that are doing 20 years there. So you got all kinds of different people. But she tries to get to know everybody on a one-on-one level. Like, she wants to know about your life. She wants to know about things going on. She wants to get to know who you are. She wants to know your name. She'll if you saw her walking down the street after you got released, she's going to come over to you and say hi. Like, she's definitely that person. And so I'm like, you know, would I rather hang out with the clean cut guy, the preacher, the fiery preacher, even though he's a cool dude? I like him. Talked to him one on one more than once. But he really just didn't like. You could talk to him one on one, but you could tell he just. I'm not going to say he didn't care, because it wasn't at that level. But he's definitely not going to remember you. He's not. He's like. He's just there. He's going with the flow. You know what I'm saying? Like, this woman, though, she really gets to know people, and she wants to know your name, and she wants to know who you are, and actually get to know you as a person. And she was very knowledgeable. She did a good job leading all these Bible studies. When she did give sermons, she did a good job. Not as good as he did. But like I said, everybody in the kingdom is different, and they got different skills, different things to bring to the party. And I thought, both of these people have a good role. Both of these people are just as valid in terms of what they're doing. I didn't have a problem with either of them. But what I'm saying is, if I'm going to have to choose who I'm going to hang out with, if I had to hang out with one or the other, I'm going with her, because she's just more down to earth, more personable. She actually cares more. She seems like she cares more about people on an individual level. And it had nothing to do with whether she swears all the time and has a potty mouth, but she was open with us and told us that that was a major thing that she struggles with. And so I didn't look at it like, oh, you're a bad person because you swear all the time. And she's a chaplain, for crying out loud. But she talked about it. Like, she does all of it. She takes the Lord's name in vain, mother F this and F-ity F that, right? And so I don't know. I look past the surface when I'm getting to know people, and I don't judge people based on the language that comes out of their mouth, because that really doesn't tell you who they are as a person. You could meet the coolest person on earth who has a mouth like a pirate, and you could meet the most polite person who never uttered a swear word in their entire life, and they're the biggest asshole you could ever meet. So what the fuck does the language have to do with who they are as a person? It doesn't really, not much, in my opinion. I'm here in Texas, right? And I'm surrounded in an area of Texas. I'm surrounded by these mega churches, these multi-million-dollar mega churches everywhere you look. There could be 10 mega churches on a 4-block stretch of Houston that each cost $20 million to build, full of all these rich snobs. And if there were a few homeless people camped out front on the sidewalk, they just walk right by and not give a fuck about any of them. They're not going to do anything to help the homeless people. They got to put all their money and their tidings into maintaining their $20 million, glass church that they built. They ain't got time for the homeless or anybody who needs help. Fuck that. We got better shit to worry about. And if anything, these uppity people at these mega churches, if they see a bunch of homeless people camped out on the sidewalk, they're going to call the cops and have them swept away and taken off to wherever they go, because they're bringing down the property values in the neighborhood. And we can't have a bunch of tents and cardboard boxes and meth addicts and prostitutes and piles of poop on the sidewalk and all that stuff that goes with dirty needles laying on the ground in front of our beautiful $25 million mega church. No, we can't have that. Call the cops and get them out of here. Fuck all that helping the homeless shit. We got the mega church has leaky windows. We gotta pay somebody contractor $2 million to fix that. So, like, I don't know. I just don't judge people based on how they speak, whether they swear or not. If people talk with clean language, I don't judge them one way or the other about it. Same thing if every other word out of their mouth is a swear word. It doesn't even have an effect on me in terms of, I'm looking deeper than the language. I'm looking at the person and saying, this person's good or bad, based on their actions, based on how they treat other people, things like that. I don't give a shit what comes out of their mouth in terms of whether they swear or not. But there are those people in society who will judge you based on your language and be like, I can't associate with him because he said the F word. Well, it's like, church lady, you just got mad the other day and said, oh, fiddlesticks. That's another F word. You meant the same fucking thing when you said it that I said when I said my F word. You meant the same thing. You were saying the exact same thing, you just used a different word. Some people talk Chinese, some people talk Spanish. They say the same thing. So that's all I'm getting at. You got to look past the language. But I'm also saying that in the Bible it even says you shouldn't talk like a pirate. I mean, that's not the exact verse, but go to a Bible that has a concordance and look up cursing, swearing, foul language. Look up all those different topics, and it will lead you. The glossary will lead you to the verses that I'm talking about. I'm just not. I don't have that memorized right now. Let's see here. And that kind of leads into. I got some time. I'm getting antsy. I got to get this off my face, and I got to get to it. I got a lot of stuff to do today, but I'm going to put in a 12-hour day probably. And I got 2 days before I got to go back to the bakery. Plenty of time to get stuff done. I got a lot done yesterday. But yeah, I'm just saying, don't judge people based on what comes. I would rather hang out with a good person that swears all the time than an asshole who has clean language any day of the week. I'd rather hang out with a good person who has clean language than an asshole who swears all the time. So the language has nothing to do with it. So that also kind of goes along with another comment that I get a lot of. And that is, I guess, I'm thinking about this right now because, we were all told, that Jeffrey Epstein client list is going to be released and we're all going to know who was involved and all those people are going to be in handcuffs and going to prison. And I'm just like, yeah, right. You're going to have an easier time knowing who killed JFK than who was on the Jeffrey Epstein client list. You're going to know what's in an Oscar Mayer hot dog. You're going to know all the beaks and claws and animal cow hooves, and you're going to have a list of all the ingredients that ever went into your hot dogs before you ever know who raped the kids on Jeffrey Epstein Island. Okay? Just fucking get over it. It's never going to happen. The people that raped those kids are too powerful for you to ever know who the fuck they were. And I'm not saying it's right. It's definitely not right. But I get a lot of these comments when it comes to as soon as I start talking about the shit that the government's doing to us. We're being shit on by these rich assholes who are in charge, and we're being treated like garbage, and we're being shit on, and we're having our lives ruined and destroyed, and our livelihoods destroyed, and our neighborhoods turned into fucking crack house ghettos, and everything. They're destroying this country. And I keep getting these comments about, you're just a conspiracy theorist. You need to stop worrying about stuff you can't control and just focus on your own thing. And there's nothing we can do about it. So why do you keep worrying about it and all this stuff? And even to the point where you're like, why are you such an asshole for talking about stuff like that? And that one's the one that really, I think that's the choicest comment of all. Like, why are you such an asshole? Why do you keep talking about that stuff? And I'm thinking, I'm the asshole. I'm the asshole because I talked about how the elite pedophiles that raped kids on Jeffrey Epstein's island and the corrupt scumbags in the FBI who covered it up and made it so that those people don't have to go to jail or, have their lives turned upside down over raping some fucking kids. They're not the asshole. But Adam, the guy who fucking told you about it, the guy who talks about that, he's the asshole. He's the asshole. But I've been dealing with this shit since I was 21 years old, and now I'm 49. So you think I haven't heard this fucking comment a billion times by now? There's a reason why we have a phrase called "don't shoot the messenger." It's because the messenger always gets shot. It's the messenger who's always the asshole. And it goes back to like the medieval days. You have two kings that are having a beef with each other, so one king sends a messenger over to the other king on horseback or whatever with a message for the other king to read. And then the messenger's head gets sent back to the first king in a wicker basket. So what the fuck did the messenger have to do with anything? He brought the message. He's the mailman, for fuck's sake. And you cut the mailman's head off and sent it back to the other king. And so, the messenger was the asshole, not the two asshole kings that are having a pissing match with each other. The messenger is the one who gets beheaded, right? And so that's just the same way it is in our society right now. Don't look at the pedophiles that rape kids on Epstein Island. Think about it. How many kids got raped today? When you watch this video, whatever time it is, think about, okay, between midnight when the new day began and the time that you're watching this video, how many children got raped today by the pedophiles that were raping kids on Epstein Island? They just had to find a new island somewhere to go rape their fucking kids. They're doing it today. Why? Because they got a free pass, because they're not going to prison for it. Nobody knows who they are. They won't release the fucking list of pedophiles that did it. The FBI's covering it up still. We got a new attorney general who keeps saying, "Oh, I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna show you guys." She's just stalling. She's gonna stall as long as she can, and then she's not gonna be attorney general anymore, and somebody else is gonna take over that job, and they're gonna start stalling and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna any day now. 2 more weeks. Trust the plan. It's coming out. We're gonna get him. We're gonna put him in jail. Just 2 more weeks. Oh, just wait a couple more weeks. Another 2 weeks." 2 more weeks, that's all you gotta wait. 2 weeks goes by. Oh, we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him. It's sitting on my desk. I'm looking through it. We're gonna release it. Just 2 more weeks. Just hold on. It takes time. It's all you're gonna hear from now for the next 50 fucking years. All the pedophiles that raped kids on Jeffrey Epstein Island are gonna be dead. And they're gonna have raped hundreds of, if not thousands of more kids by the time that they're dead. But guess who's the asshole? It's me. I'm the asshole. Adam right here, he's the asshole because he talked about it. He told you about it. He tried telling you, you know, it's wrong to rape kids on Pedophile Island. But Adam's the asshole. Forget about the celebrities and the rich moguls and the politicians that rape children on Fantasy Island. They're not the asshole. Adam's the asshole because he told you all about it. And the only thing that really, like, at this point, I don't give a fuck because I've been telling the truth. I've been pointing these things out since I was like 21 years old. I woke up. You've seen it in other videos I've talked about. I knew somebody who died on TWA Flight 800. I didn't know her well, but I knew her enough that I paid attention to the information that came out about that plane crash. And the government's been lying to us about that ever since the day it happened. You know, just, the wings fell off. Shit happens. Forget about the explosion that everybody saw. Forget about the fireball in the sky. Forget about, you know, the plane got ripped. No, just the wings fell off. That's how, you know, shit happens all the time. So shut up, you conspiracy theorist. Shut up, shut up, shut up. You're an asshole. Why do you keep talking about this? You're disrespecting the dead. You know, if your daughter got murdered by a rapist who raped her and then killed her and got away with it, and you were out there trying to point out, hey, this is the guy that raped and killed my daughter, here's the proof, and everybody said, shut up, you're an asshole, you're disrespecting your dead daughter. Like, how would that make you feel? And at some point, would you just be like, you know what, fuck it. Fuck all you fucking retards. Go walk off a cliff when they tell you to. Go wear your stupid COVID mask and go get your Dr. Fauci shot. Do whatever they fucking tell you and stop listening to the asshole that told you not to listen to them. You know, send your daughter off to Pedophile Island to get raped by Jeffrey Epstein's friends and keep your mouth shut because you're an asshole if you talk about it. There's nothing we can do about it. We're just, the government's just they're just gonna do whatever they want to us, and there's just nothing you can do about it. So you just gotta pay attention to your own life, and you just gotta do your own thing, and just stop paying attention and stop talking about what these pedophiles do on Pedophile Island. We're just gonna have to keep letting them rape our kids because there's nothing we can do about it. It's just the way it is. They're just, these people, they got too much power and there's nothing we can do about it. So just let them keep raping our kids because there's nothing you can do about it. You just gotta focus on your own life and do what you can do. Okay, yeah, keep doing that. See where it gets you. The sad thing is that all of this shit can stop tomorrow. Tomorrow. If all of you people who keep telling people like me to keep our mouth shut and to stop worrying about it and stop calling all these people out, you know, stop saying that it's bad to rape kids on a pedophile island where rich people go to rape kids, you know, stop talking about that shit because it makes you an asshole. I guess the rapists, the celebrities, the rich pedophiles that get to go fly their private jet to the Fantasy Island and rape all the kids, they're not an asshole. I'm the asshole for talking about it. See, if all of you people who tell me this would wake up one day and say, you know what? I'm kind of getting sick and tired of our kids getting raped by these scumbag pedophiles. I think I'm going to have to speak up about it. And if everybody would just wake up one day and say, you know what, we're done. We're done with this shit. It's over. If everybody in mass who sits there and calls you a conspiracy theorist or calls you an asshole or tells you to keep your mouth shut because you're going to ruin your life or people aren't going to want to work with you or people aren't going to want to associate with you because you go and talk about things like that, because you think it's wrong for children to get fucked and raped on a pedophile island where only rich people get to go and rape kids and get protected by the FBI. If you keep talking about stuff like that, if all you people who say that I'm a conspiracy theorist and keep your mouth shut and watch what you say, because they're going to get you. They already did get me. They put me in federal prison for 2 fucking years over some mean tweets. So, yeah, I know what they're going to do to you. I'm not going to threaten anybody. I'm not going to even come remotely close to saying I hope these scumbag pedophiles in the FBI get what they deserve. I'm not going to say anything like that. I'm not. Because if I go and say something like that, they're just going to put me back in prison. So I'm not advocating for that. I won't say anything like that. I won't say that these people in the FBI that cover up Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile ring deserve to be put on an island and raped by a bunch of prison inmates that are released to Pedophile Island just for that purpose. I won't say anything like that. You know, because like you said, we can't do anything about it. Just worry about your own life. Don't worry about what the pedophiles are doing on Jeffrey Epstein Island or whatever new island they fly to now to do it. Because that hasn't gone away, and there's nothing we could do about it. None of them are ever going to go see the inside of a jail cell. They're not going to know what that feels like. And it's just how it is. There's nothing you can do about it. So why do you keep bringing it up? And why do you keep ruining my day? I'm just trying to get through my day, and you keep talking about these elites that are shitting all over us and taking half of my paycheck and sending all that money to the Ukraine instead of fixing our broken bridges and our broken roads and our broken buildings and all the things that we got to get done here in America. No, man, there ain't nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can do about that. So why you want to keep talking about that when there's nothing you can do about it? And all I'm going to say is, if everybody who talks like that to me would just shut the fuck up and turn around and say something about it and say, you know what, we're done. Let's get rid of these pedophile scumbags and put them behind bars where they belong and get them out of our government so that they're not our fucking leaders anymore. If everybody would wake up tomorrow and agree to do that, they'd be gone tomorrow, and not a single act of violence would have to be committed to make that happen. It would all happen. They would all have to not only resign within a day if everybody just said, you know what, we're done, get out. They would have to resign tomorrow, and then on their way out of the Capitol, there would be police waiting to put them in handcuffs and put them in the back of a van to take them off to the prison. That would happen tomorrow. And there wouldn't be a shot fired. There wouldn't be a single act of violence committed if everybody who's just, I ain't got time. You shouldn't be talking about this. There's nothing you can do. Why do you keep bringing this up? Why are you such an asshole for talking about this stuff? If all of you would just, talk about it and say, you know what? I think we could all collectively agree that rich elite pedophiles shouldn't be allowed to rape kids on Jeffrey Epstein Island, and if they did that, they should go to prison for that, right? I mean, is there anybody that disagrees with me on that? Maybe the Democrats do, but but once again, I'm the asshole. So I'm just gonna go on I'm gonna go keep being the asshole today, and I'll upload this video at some point, and we'll talk again. Peace out.